First contact. Captain Lena Sorensen stared out the viewport of the UESS Magellan in stunned silence. Moments ago, her ship had emerged from an experimental warp jump to find itself face-to-face with an enormous alien vessel. Sleek and angular, it dwarfed the Magellan's compact exploration chassis. "Captain, we're being hailed," Communications Officer Jack Pryor reported, snapping Sorensen out of her stupor. She straightened her uniform. On screen, the bridge was bathed in light as a holographic projection materialized. A gray-skinned alien glared at them with cold, pupilless eyes. It spoke in a tinny, arrogant voice. "Unknown vessel, you have violated the sovereign territory of the Galactic Empire. Power down and prepare to be boarded. Your craft will be impounded and your crew interrogated. Resistance will be met with annihilation." Sorensen shared an incredulous look with her first mate, Karim Abdelhamid. These aliens were certainly full of themselves. She stepped forward and replied with a smirk. "Well met. I'm Captain Lena Sorensen of the United Earth ship Magellan. Apologies for the intrusion. We didn't realize this patch of empty space was claimed." She shrugged theatrically. "We'll be on our way now. No need for any boarding or interrogation. Better luck next time, though." The alien sputtered in outrage. "You dare mock the Galactic Empire? Insolent primate. You will submit or be destroyed." "Yeah, I don't think so," Sorensen replied. "See, we humans have a thing about not submitting to tyrannical aliens who go around threatening to annihilate people. It's kind of a red line for us. So how about we just chalk this up to a misunderstanding between the glorious empire and the dumb apes and go our separate ways, Ock?" The alien commander was visibly fuming now. "This is your final warning, human. Surrender or die." Sorensen winked at the view screen. "Moldenlabe, pal." She made a cutting gesture at her neck, and Pryor killed the transmission. She turned to face her crew, her expression serious. "Red alert, all hands to battle stations. Karim, get me a threat assessment on that thing." Abdelhamid consulted his console. "It outguns and outclasses us in every way, Captain. Shields, weapons, size, we're insects to them." Sorensen nodded grimly. "Transmit an emergency burst back to Earth. Attach all our scans of the alien ship." She gripped the arms of her command chair as klaxons began to sound. And so it begins. The battle for Earth. The Empire strikes back. The first assault came without warning. A dozen Empire warships emerged from warp at the edges of the solar system and opened fire, catching the fledgling Earth defense fleet completely off guard. Lances of superheated plasma slammed into the human ships, slicing through hulls and vaporizing decks. In the opening salvo, a third of the fleet was crippled or outright destroyed. The remaining vessels scattered, some attempting to cover the Magellan as it limped back to Earth, others fleeing to the imagined safety of lunar orbit. On Earth, chaos reigned as news of the attack spread. The recently formed United Earth government struggled to maintain order as panicked citizens flooded the streets, desperate for answers, for protection. In the frantic assembly hall, recently elected Prime Minister Aditya Singh tried to project calm as he huddled with his advisors. "What are our options?" he asked grimly. Defense Minister Ava Lawrence shook her head. "Limited. The gap between our technology and theirs is too wide. We have the Magellan scans, but no time to engineer effective countermeasures." General Raul Ortega, commander of Earth's military forces, leaned forward. "We can't win a straight fight. But we don't have to. We make orbit too costly for them to hold. Go guerrilla on the ground. Bleed them until they're sick of it and leave." Singh considered this. "A war of attrition, then. How long can we hold out?" "As long as we have to," Ortega replied grimly. Above, the battle raged on as the Empire ships swept through Earth's defenses. But as they moved to bombard surface targets, they encountered unexpected resistance. Across the planet, hidden missile silos roared to life, sending swarms of nuclear-tipped rockets arcing into orbit. While individually no threat to Empire shields, The missiles forced the ships to divert power from weapons to defense. Stealthed mines, hurriedly deployed in the orbitals, detonated in brilliant flashes as they ruptured Empire hulls. And everywhere, remote-piloted drone fighters swarmed the enemy vessels, peppering them with railgun fire and shake charges. On the bridge of the Empire flagship, Commander Zoll watched the battle unfold with growing consternation. The humans were fighting with a reckless tenacity he had never encountered before. Even in the face of utter defeat, they refused to give in. His second, Sub-Commander Idas, approached warily. "Commander, we're taking unsustainable losses. Recommend we regroup and—" "No," Zoll snarled. "I will not be humiliated by these primitives again. We press the attack. Full orbital bombardment. Let their cities burn until they break." But as the Empire ships moved into bombardment positions, they were met by a sight none of them expected. A blue-white planet, seemingly undefended, transmitting on all frequencies. "This is Prime Minister Singh of the United Earth Government," a calm voice announced. "To the people of the Galactic Empire, we have no quarrel with you, but if you continue this unjust aggression, we will fight you on the seas and oceans, we will fight you in the air and in space, we will fight you in the streets and in the fields. We will never surrender." As the transmission ended, a new wave of drone fighters and missiles launched from hidden positions on the planet's surface, and in every city, every town, every household, humans prepared to resist the invaders with everything they had. The battle for Earth had begun in earnest, and the Empire was about to learn the true meaning of human defiance. Exploiting weaknesses. In a darkened room deep beneath the streets of New York, a group of hackers huddled around glowing screens, frantically typing commands. They were the tip of the spear in Earth's shadow war against the Empire. Infiltrators and saboteurs tasked with finding and exploiting weaknesses in the enemy's tech. Leading them was Dr. Mira Patel, a brilliant computer scientist who had been studying the Magellan scans of Empire systems. She had discovered a critical flaw. For all their advanced technology, Empire computer systems were rigidly hierarchical and centrally controlled. Take out the command nodes, and the whole network would collapse. "I've got a way in," one of the hackers, a young man named Dion, reported excitedly. "Their comms use a variant of quantum entanglement. If we can get one of our devices in proximity to an Empire ship, I can use it as a backdoor into their systems." Patel nodded. "Do it. Prep an infiltration team." As Dion and his team set to work, Patel reflected on the months since the invasion began. The war was not going well for Earth. Despite inflicting heavy losses, the human forces were being steadily pushed back. Empire troops had landed in major cities, brutal house-to-house fighting raging in the ruins. But even as they advanced, the aliens were encountering fierce resistance. Across the planet, humans were using every trick in the book to make the invaders bleed for every inch. In the streets of London, partisans waged a guerrilla campaign, striking from the shadows with improvised explosives and stolen Empire weapons. In the mountains of Afghanistan, Pashtun tribesmen, no strangers to fighting off foreign invaders, ambushed Empire patrols in narrow passes. And in the American Midwest, farmers turned their fields into kill zones, using agricultural drones repurposed as kamikaze bombers. Above, the remnants of the Earth Defense Fleet harried the Empire ships mercilessly, striking and fading, drawing them into minefields and debris traps. Suicide missions rammed Empire vessels, crippling or destroying them at the cost of human lives. It was a brutal calculus, trading lives for time. Every day the humans held out was another day for Patel and her team to find a way to strike back at the heart of the Empire. And now, perhaps, they had found it. An elite special forces team, equipped with Dion's hacking device, infiltrated the crashed hulk of an Empire ship in the Gobi Desert. As Empire technicians swarmed the vessel, attempting repairs, the humans snuck aboard. In the bowels of the ship, they located a primary command node and planted the device. It activated, worming its way into the ship's systems, and from there into the Empire battlenet. Dian, monitoring from New York, whooped in exultation as he gained access. "We're in. Injecting the virus now." The virus, a masterpiece of Patel's creation, propagated through the Empire network at lightning speed. Every system it touched, it corrupted, warping databases, scrambling communications, feeding false data to sensors and targeting computers. One by one, Empire ships began to falter, firing on each other or shutting down entirely as their systems failed. On the ground, Empire forces found their equipment malfunctioning, their communications jammed with strange human music and mocking laughter. In his flagship above Earth, Commander Zoll watched in horror as his fleet fell into disarray. "What's happening?" he demanded of his technicians. "Some kind of computer virus, sir," one replied, frantically working his console. "It's in all our systems. Shipwide failures imminent." Zoll slammed his fist on his command throne. "This is impossible. How could the primitives infect our superior technology?" He received no answer. Across the fleet, Empire ships began to drift, powerless. On the planet below, human forces surged forward, emboldened by the turn of events. The tide of the war had shifted. The Empire's greatest strength, their advanced technology, had become their fatal weakness. And the humans, those primitive primates, had finally found a way to fight back. Turning the tide. In the aftermath of what became known as the Miracle of the Gobi, the war entered a new phase. With the Empire fleet in disarray, the humans pressed their advantage. From hidden bases on the Moon and Mars, a new Earth fleet emerged, cobbled together from the wrecks of Empire ships and powered by reverse-engineered alien tech. Led by Captain Sorensen in the repaired and upgraded Magellan, they struck at the enemy with devastating hit-and-run attacks. On Earth, human forces went on the offensive, driving the Empire troops out of the ruined cities and back towards their landing zones. Bolstered by captured Empire weapons and vehicles, the once outmatched human soldiers now stood toe-to-toe with their alien foes. But the Empire was far from defeated. As stunned as they were by the failure of their technology, the aliens still outnumbered and outgunned the humans. They fell back to heavily defended staging areas in the deserts of North Africa and the steppes of Central Asia, regrouping for a new assault. In New York, the United Earth government debated their next move. Prime Minister Singh advocated for a diplomatic solution. "We've shown them we're not helpless primitives," he argued. "Now is the time to sue for peace, to find a way to coexist." General Ortega shook his head vehemently. "There can be no coexistence with a power that sees us as slaves to be conquered. We must press on, drive them from our system entirely. Only then will Earth be safe." In the end, it was Captain Sorensen who cast the deciding vote. "We finished this," she said grimly. "We didn't start this war, but by all the stars, we're going to end it." The final battle began with a massive human assault on the Empire staging areas. Thousands of missile-armed drones darkened the skies, overwhelming Empire defenses and carpet-bombing their positions. At the same time, strike teams equipped with Dr. Patel's cyber weapons infiltrated Empire command posts, once again sowing chaos in their computer systems. As the Empire forces reeled, the Earth fleet swept in from above. But this time, they were not alone. As if summoned by the humans' valor, ships of unknown make and origin appeared from the depths of space, falling upon the Empire vessels with savage fury. They were the Galactic Resistance, ragtag fleets from a dozen worlds subjugated by the Empire. Drawn by stories of Earth's unyielding defiance, they had come to join the fight, to strike a blow against their oppressors. Together, humans and aliens tore into the Empire fleet. Plasma beams and fusion missiles crisscrossed the orbital battle space, turning the night sky into a hellscape of fire and debris. On the flagship, Commander Zoll braced himself as his ship shuddered under the impacts. This was not how it was supposed to be. The primitives were meant to cower and submit, not fight back with such tenacity and skill. As warning sirens blared and damage reports flooded in, Zal realized the bitter truth. He had underestimated the humans, and that mistake would be the doom of the Empire. With a final, defiant roar, the Empire flagship exploded, taking Zal and his command staff with it. Across the system, the remaining Empire ships fell one by one, overwhelmed by the combined human and resistance forces. On Earth, cheers erupted as the news spread. In the ruins of their cities, in the ashes of their homes, the humans celebrated their hard-won victory. They had faced the full might of a galactic empire and emerged unbowed. But even as they rejoiced, they knew this was not the end. Out there in the stars, the Empire still reigned, its iron grip tight on 1,000 worlds. Earth had won its freedom, but the fight for the galaxy was just beginning, and humanity, battle-hardened and unbroken, stood ready to lead the charge. The Empire crumbles. In the months following the liberation of Sol, as the battle came to be known, Earth began to rebuild. With the Empire invaders expelled and their technology captured, a new era of prosperity and advancement dawned. But the humans were not content to rest on their laurels. They knew that as long as the Empire remained, no world was truly free. And so, even as they repaired their cities and tended to their wounds, they prepared for a new war, a war of liberation. The galactic resistance had shown them the way. All across the Empire, subjugated races were rising up, inspired by Earth's example. They sabotaged Empire facilities, assassinated governors and commanders, smuggled weapons and supplies to the growing rebel armies. Earth became the heart of this rebellion, the arsenal of resistance. Human factories churned out ships and weapons day and night, equipping freedom fighters from 100 worlds. Human advisors and commandos trained alien partisans in the tactics of asymmetric warfare. And at the forefront of it all was the new Earth Expeditionary Force, a combined human-alien fleet commanded by now Admiral Lena Sorensen. Their mission: to carry the fight to the Empire, to liberate every world under its yoke, to topple the tyrannical regime that had terrorized the galaxy for millennia. Their first target was Thaxis Prime, the heavily fortified supply hub that fueled the Empire's war machine. In a daring raid, Admiral Sorensen led a small strike force past the planet's defenses, planting Dr. Patel's cyber weapons in its central computer core. As the Empire systems went haywire, a mass uprising broke out among the planet's slave miners. Armed with smuggled human weapons, they overwhelmed their overseers and seized control of the mines and factories. With Thaxis Prime lost, the Empire's supply lines crumbled. Across the galaxy, its fleets ran low on fuel and munitions. Its armies found themselves stranded deep in hostile territory. One by one, the dominoes began to fall. On Cyrex II, General Ortega led a daring planetary invasion, his troops fighting side by side with insectoid Cyraxian resistance fighters. After a brutal ground campaign, the Empire garrison was overwhelmed, and the planet declared free. In the Aleph cluster, a coalition fleet of human, Tolfin, and Zajurian ships smashed an Empire armada in a titanic space battle. The shocking defeat triggered mass mutinies across the Empire ranks, with whole ships and divisions defecting to the rebel cause. Back on Earth, Prime Minister Singh worked tirelessly to forge a new galactic alliance, a union of free worlds dedicated to mutual defense and shared prosperity. One by one, the newly liberated planets joined, adding their strength to the growing coalition. Here is the continuation of Part 5 of the story. Desperate to stem the tide, the Empire resorted to increasingly brutal tactics. On worlds that resisted, they unleashed orbital bombardments, reducing cities to rubble. They executed rebel leaders and sympathizers by the thousands, hoping to cow the populations into submission. But for every atrocity, the resolve of the resistance only grew stronger. And with each new world that joined the alliance, the Empire's grip on the galaxy weakened. The end, when it came, was sudden and spectacular. With its fleets in tatters and its armies in retreat, the Empire made a final stand at Corindor, the seat of its power. A massive rebel armada, led by Admiral Sorensen aboard her flagship Unity, clashed with the last remnants of the Imperial Navy in a battle that lit the skies of 100 systems. For 3 days and nights they fought, the wreckage of shattered ships raining down on the planet below. But in the end, the Empire could not stand against the combined might of a free galaxy. With a final, devastating volley, the Unity crippled the Imperial command ship, sending it plummeting into the surface of Corindor. The Battle of Corindor marked the end of the Galactic Empire. With its leadership destroyed and its military broken, the remaining Imperial forces across the galaxy quickly capitulated. One by one, the subjugated worlds tore down the hated symbols of Empire rule, raising in their place the rainbow flag of the Alliance. On Earth, the news of total victory was met with jubilant celebration tempered by sober reflection. In a solemn ceremony in New York, Prime Minister Singh dedicated a monument to the fallen, human and alien alike, who had given their lives for the cause of freedom. "We have won a great victory," he said to the assembled crowds, his voice heavy with emotion. "But let us never forget the price that was paid. Let us never forget the lessons we learned. That tyranny, no matter how powerful, will always fall before the united will of free peoples. That diversity is strength, that in our differences lies our greatest power, and that no force in the universe can conquer the indomitable spirit of sentient beings who refuse to bow to oppression." As the gathered masses cheered and wept, Admiral Sorensen looked up at the stars, a bittersweet smile on her face. They had won, but the cost had been high. So many friends lost, so many worlds scared by the ravages of war. But now, at least, there was hope. Hope for a future of peace and unity, of exploration and discovery. A future where the myriad races of the galaxy would stand together, no longer as conqueror and conquered, master and slave, but as equals, as family. The war was over. The Empire was vanquished, its dark shadow lifted from the galaxy. And though the scars it left would linger long, the dawn of a new era had come. An era of freedom, of hope, of infinite possibility under the light of a billion stars. The end.